Back, everybody, to another episode of PSTV. It's your commish and your co-commish on the show today. We had a little bit of travel going on today, so if we're a little bit sleepy, you guys don't worry about that. And let me get this PowerPoint up and rolling. All right, looks like we're good. So, what an interesting turn of events. Did not expect Travis to lose. We'll see that come up in the projections later and the matchups and pick'ems results, but wasn't in my bingo card. And I mean, not a lot of movement. There's still enough here to talk about. The main change you guys are going to see is that auto drafting Fugly went up to 4 from 5.
Mm-hmm.
And Co-Commish, can you break down why he didn't pass Travis, even though he's got a better record?
He didn't pass Travis because Travis still fucking showed up last week. I mean, it was a 3 point
Big time.
difference, and I mean they each were above 3 point. I mean they were above 130, and I mean was under 130, right? And his team really didn't show. I mean, it showed out, but didn't show up like Travis's, and
And
that's why I do agree that that Otto still has not passed Travis at this moment.
right, he's got a little more to
Yeah.
climb, but he's on his
Yeah,
way up.
exactly.
And the other thing too, Travis has the second highest points against and the third highest points
Hmm.
for. So he's like, these games are going to balance out. The scoring is going to balance out as the season goes. And just I think we want to mix in a little bit of what's happening right now with what we're projecting for how good the team is. So
Yeah. Yep.
that's why it's that way right now. I'm not saying it wouldn't change. Travis has been everywhere, up and down. He's had a hell of a crazy season so far. But from there, we had a couple of moves, one trade, a couple pickups, nothing too interesting, which is fine right now. Everybody's still, one, getting a feel for the guys they picked up in the offseason. Two, we're seeing some getting a feel for the offenses. And then three, people are still determining, like, am I gonna try to save my season and push my chips in,
Hmm.
Pokemish? Or am I gonna, blow it up because I don't have no chance? Little chub. But right. So everybody's figuring out what they want to do or what they don't want to do.
Mhm.
What do you think about that trade, Kokamish? We had me and Nish. I gave and I know you. Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna spoil it, but I just say what it is and you get some analysis. But I sent Christian Watson and Jordan McLaughlin. I got back
Mm.
a first and Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, man. I mean, just the initial analysis from that, you're stacking up on first round picks. You're definitely getting in on that Marvin Harrison Jr. Lottery, but you're not really hurting yourself too much. You got a startable piece in Kyron Williams. I guess in the previous
Previous one.
trade, you have the backup with Mark Andrews, so you're not necessarily um, what's it called? You're not necessarily backing out of that race, but you're also getting yourself prepared for next season as well, in case you did want to do any other drastic change. So you're still there. I mean, you're still a competitor. You're 3-1, right? And I think you definitely benefited yourself for next year, and I think you gave yourself a safe floor with getting Likely to back up Mark Andrews. So it was a
I,
pretty good trade. Yeah.
and it seemed like it was fair. Nish, though, I mean, that McLaughlin, that game he just had was pretty stellar. I mean,
Yeah,
it
yeah, it
was
was a pretty good game.
a big boom play that buoyed his score, but it looks good. When we negotiated that, he was like, I want this, and I was like, oh, would you take this instead? And then I was like, well, then how about I have all these running backs that I like similarly,
Mhm.
McLaughlin, Dotson, the other Elijah on my team, Williams, I think,
Mhm.
and named a couple. And then I was like, okay, well, I like all these guys about in the same area. Would you just take one of those guys? Who would you put your flyer on? And he said, I would put my chips on this guy. Took him, paid off. dude's fucking clairvoyant. You know, he saw the
Yeah, yeah.
future. Like of all the ones that he could have picked from, he nailed that. And then like
Definitely did.
I'm giving up my like two favorite wide receivers in the
Yeah,
last
in
two
Watson
weeks.
and DK, yeah, which is
Like
really interesting.
like
Yeah.
emotionally that hurt. I didn't want to
Hmm.
do that. But the, I'm not playing with these guys who are coming up and giving me exactly like what I want
Hmm.
for the offers. So I mean, like it's
Yeah.
hard to say no. You know, there's some guys on my team that I'm still trying to figure out how I value them. So maybe those will take me a little while to sell. But
Hmm. Hmm.
hey, you guys
I
are
mean,
that
you still have a solid roster, man. Considering that you have so many first round picks, that it's like, I mean, you did lose DK, and you still did lose two star solid wide receivers, but I mean, you have Zay Flowers, you have that upside of Pittman,
yeah.
Jacoby Myers. We really don't even know who, I mean, what he does, but I mean, the reason you're actually playing him is because I mean, Chris Godwin, right? I mean, you still have him in your bench, and he definitely has a lot of potential, and I think he showed out last week, if I remember correctly.
Godwin
But
played well this last week, and
yeah,
then like Myers has been going like in and out of like some pretty big
yeah,
games. So it's
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think too. I just want to give you guys credit for being ballsy enough to make trade offers. I know I talk to Bad Wolf all the time too. He's also always in the DMs. Like you guys are doing a good job
Hmm.
getting active out there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more trades pop up soon. Um, Jay Moley picked up Keaton Mitchell. Ravens backfield's a mess, but they're a good team, so it's
Yeah,
interesting. Texas Chili Bowl picks up Josh Dobbs. He's got an injury and a bye week, so sneaky start probably because Dobbs has
yeah.
been putting up like 20 fantasy points a game. And then let's get into the matchups and pick'ems. Prime time week right now. This is what we're talking about because we've got three matchups that feature playoff contenders against each other. And then the other two matchups are important for checking out who's going to be able to, one, bring themselves back into the competition because we've got the 0 and 5 or no and 5, the 0 and 4, the 1 and 3, the 0 and 4, the 1 and 3. And,
Hmm.
potentially this is where you turn your season around. And if not, this is where we're like, okay, I think we know who needs to be trying to trend back down to get
Yeah.
into the rebuild race. But so every matchup is good. It's hard to pick, what are the best ones versus what are the snoozers, the ones that are easy to pick. I think they're all good. So first up, who do we have? Looks like we've got quite a few of the same.
Mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, most of them are fairly even. The only one that I really have different than you is going to be the Bad Wolf auto drafting. I'm going auto drafting versus Bad Wolf, but I mean, if you want to go, we can go back and forth. You can start it off with Nish and Travis, and I can go into your matchup with Chili.
Let's do that. Let's do so I think where we're both at with the Travis and Nish matchup is, and let me pull these up side by side. It's the upside for Travis's players is screaming at me right now.
Hmm.
Um, I worried about Khalil Herbert, Michael Wilson, um, and I don't see Tutu playing this week too. So I'm kind of also wondering about Mooney against Washington or Robinson against Miami. So I think there's just a little bit higher ceiling on some of those skill players, AJ Brown, CD Lamb, George Kittle, even. So I think we're leaning with some of those higher hit players. That's not to say Nish's team isn't also a high upside team.
Hmm.
Um, but where he's like thinner is more room for error. If Christian Watson's not fully healthy, doesn't play all the snaps, maybe he doesn't turn in a good game. Khalil Herbert, that backfield's been crazy so far. So this year, Jacobs had one good game so far this year, and Green Bay's no slouch in the run game. So I think it's close, but I think we're gonna lean Travis. But to me, that was the toughest one to pick out. How
Yeah.
about
Last thing I'll add there, real quick, it's just that I mean they're playing the Giant, and Miami's playing the Giants. They're getting demolished in the run game, and
yeah?
really, I think it'll be a Mostert a chain game mostly. So that limit that
Game script.
reduces the game script. Waddle, Hill, Tua are definitely going to be impacted there, and that's why I feel that it could be more of a lean towards Travis.
I could see that. So what about my matchup with Chili Bowl with the behemoth?
Your matchup with a behemoth, it's doable, man. If Lamar, Mandrews, Flowers shows up again, which it's possible, they're on a roll. Pitt's defense has not been as solid. I see the
Yeah,
potential for you to pull off that upset. So this one, I did flirt with the idea of potentially picking you. I don't think this was an auto pick. Um, but I did have to go with Chili just because I do see the upside with Dobbs. He's been playing phenomenally. He's been playing at a Lamar Jackson level. Because I will say Lamar Jackson still has not played like we've been expecting him to be, like a top 5 quarterback, and Josh Dobbs has been playing at the same level. Then you just have the pieces of Tony Pollard, Joe Mixon, Justin Jefferson, he's playing at an elite level. David or Devontae Adams, like every one of his players has been playing at an elite level, and his floor is
that's what it
really
is.
close to your ceiling. Yeah, it's just he has a safer floor. There is a possibility that Pollard doesn't show up as much because of it's against San Francisco, and the Cardinals defense is a bit better than we really expected. So Mixon's upside might not be there at all as well, but KC Vikings could be a high scoring game. Green Bay Raiders could be a high scoring game, and any one of his players could just ball out and really carry his team. So you're really heavily hoping that Lamar takes it to the next level, at least against Pittsburgh, which is
Yeah,
doable because they're not as strong of a defense as we would have expected this year. So
that's ex-
it's going to
that's
be a
exactly
fun one for sure.
that's exactly it. It's the Ravens. It's the
Mhm.
only opportunity I see, and I mean the Texans cooked the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I mean why couldn't the Ravens? So you're right. That's
Yeah, exactly.
but the like you said, his floor is like around my ceiling. So why mess around too much?
I mean, I'm
we're
pulling
not
for
gonna
you,
get
bro.
cute.
I'm pulling for that shit, legit, man. And if
Hey,
you win, like
it'd
we
be
can
cool.
like come out with polls and be like, bro, A Rojas Chili Bowl last game of next of the season, like.
If nah, man, if I win, all that's gonna happen is everybody's gonna say like, so Chile only lost to the co-commish last year, and then they commissioned this year. How much they paying him?
Hmm.
That's what they're gonna say. Lil Chubb and Jay Moley. So like again, like that's an interesting one. I mean, because you know Jay Moley has been spending. He's wanting to get into the playoff picture. Lil Chubb spent like last year, and he was swapping picks, and he's got like he gave up his pick. He wants to be in the playoffs. So we got two teams who've had some tough luck, ready to kind of go at it. And we both were leaning Jay Moley. I think I mean, one big eyesore is Devin Singletary in the starting lineup right now. Damian Pierce is healthy now. He had a full practice, so maybe he was in there before the full practice thing, but
Mhm.
it makes you worry. I mean, and then he turns elsewhere and tries to get a spot start. Um, do you have a running back in the flex? Oh shit, no, I think he's gonna stick with that.
Yeah, I think so
And that's
too.
that's dicey. That's the biggest reason. I went through and I looked back and forth, and there's some matchups that I would give either direction. Samuel over Moore, but then also like
Mhm.
Ayuk over Dobbs. Like we could trade these back and forth, but where it comes down to is like, who am I more scared of, Chig or Singletary? And I'd be more scared of Chig because I think there's a way that Jay Moley gets the tight end production elsewhere immediately available, and I don't know that Chubb could. So I'm
Mhm.
and Purdy against Dallas. So I mean that I'm going with Chubb. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going with Jay Moley. You're going with Jay
Jamal.
Moley, and
Yeah, yeah.
and that's why. The
Yeah, I think it really comes down to the top two. Like, I mean, you have Richardson, who I see going off. He's been using his legs. He's been a top 10 fantasy quarterback, and I don't see anyone really stopping those fucking wheels right now. He's a fucking freak of nature, and Bijan's also been a big freak of nature. And against Houston, like you saw what Zach Moss could do against the Texans defense. Like
Yeah, you've been able to run on
Bijan's
the
gonna
Texans,
fucking eat. Yeah, so
but you could run on the Raiders too. And Aaron Jones has a really good matchup. But
I mean, is he healthy though? That's
that's the
the
thing. That's the thing.
yeah. It is a Monday game, which I mean helps, but still.
And the hamstrings, hamstring injuries are so easy to re-injure. So he might not even
Hmm.
play. Like, well, it's scary. I just wouldn't make the
Yeah.
bet. Um, we're looking at. I want to see.
Mm,
I'll do your cool kid matchup, your matchup, and then you can take the main event.
yeah.
Um, in your matchup, another one, exact same scenario. Um, Taylor is the wild card here. Is he going to
Hmm.
play? Isn't he? If he plays still, it's a bad matchup. I don't think he'll play him, and then that's going to kind of force him to put somebody else in. Maybe he'll play like Rashee Rice instead, or Kirk.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to end up being what really happens, and I think it works in his favor. Um, your matchups, I mean, of course you can run on Carolina. I just don't. Just Gibbs hasn't been getting the work yet. Knox, he may or may not play, and then even then, it's still uh, a mismatch. Like I still favor Ferguson and favor Addison over London, even though Addison hasn't really been separating either. So I think it's another close one. I like a few of his floor a little higher. Some of his floor players a little more. And then give us the main event. How are you taking this one?
Yeah, dude. It should be a good one. I mean, this sorry, let me go to it. It's gonna be Otto against Bad Wolf. They're not really projected highly. I'm assuming they're both being impacted somehow by the bye weeks. I mean, you got Keenan out. You have
But he's about to get Cup. I don't know if
yeah,
he
he's
put
he's
Cup in this
he's
lineup.
potentially gonna get Cooper Cup back. Luckily to wait, who has Cup? Otto or
Bad
Bad
Wolf.
Wolf?
Bad Wolf
Bad
has
Wolf.
Cup.
Yeah. So he had Puka. So either way, like whoever he puts in for either of those two, he's gonna be fine. Laporta's playing at an elite level. Josh Allen, he can repeat. It's gonna be a nice, intense matchup. And I go back to Miami against the Giants. Mostert's going to eat. ETN against Buffalo. Buffalo, you can run against that defense. I
Are you changing?
fuck.
Are you
I
changing
don't know.
live?
I don't know. No,
Look,
I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna stick to my guns. I think Mahomes goes off against Minnesota. I think it'll be a nice matchup there. I think where it gets dicey is when you have Westbrook Akine.
yeah.
Unless he's going to play both
He's
Puka
sliding Cup right
and
there. Yeah. No,
Cup. I
you're for
mean,
sure playing Cooper Cup and
Puka
Puka
and
Nakua.
Puka.
Yep.
I think that's why I was leaning Otto there. But if he is a healthy scratch and you play both Puka and Cooper Cup, I'm sure they're both gonna eat, and Tutu just gets slid as the wide receiver three. So yeah, I'm fucking live tilting. Sorry, bro.
There it
I'm
is.
going with Bad Wolf on that. Yeah, I
I don't even gotta
just
say anything. You made the case too.
yeah.
Yep. That's why I'm there. Say all the same
It's
reasons.
gonna be a good fucking matchup though. I can 100% see that happening. McCaffrey's been eating. Mahomes gonna eat. Devontae Smith is gonna go off. I mean, like Jahan Dodson, he's been playing at a good level, and that's tonight. So we'll see if he actually goes off. Sam Howell, I believe, is a really good startable quarterback this week. And I think he's gonna do fairly well against the Chicago Bears defense, who kind of is trash. So there's um there's a side where I can see Otto winning this, but definitely Bad Wolf with Cooper Cup coming back and him getting rid of the Westbrook side. And then, I
Then
mean,
it
you have,
all points in that
yeah,
direction. Yep.
yeah, it's kind of pointing the Bad Wolf direction.
All right. Well, that's your matchups and pick'ems, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode this week. And co-commission. Anything else?
No, it's fine. Just like, subscribe, follow. Hope you all enjoying the videos.
All right, guys. Peace out. Catch you later.